Forgiveness is one of those words that sounds so simple until you actually try to do it. It's like everyone tells you, you just need to forgive and move on. And you're listening and you're sitting there and you're thinking, sure, sounds great, but how? Because if it were that easy, we'd all be walking around glowing like monks, right? Hi, everybody. My name's Ilah, and I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and this is Subconsciously Speaking. And I'm welcoming you to this segment, this episode about forgiveness. I'm going to help you navigate, basically that's what I do. I help you navigate your subconscious mind. We're just diving into this very misunderstood process of forgiveness. And what is it? And how does it work? So let's get something straight. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. That's not what forgiveness is. It's about helping you move on to move forward. What do you have to do? It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. And it's definitely not about letting someone back into your life who hasn't earned that space. Forgiveness, real forgiveness, is about reclaiming your peace. It's about setting yourself free from the emotional loops that keep you stuck in replay mode. I think we live in this unforgiveness state. God gives it to us to help us find that peace that we need to find. So when we're in that state, that means we haven't found that peace, the peace that passes all understanding or whatever. So let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how holding a grudge feels like carrying somebody else's baggage? And it's like a big backpack full of rocks on your back? Well, they've already boarded a different flight. They're already gone. They're already ahead of you. They're not losing an ounce of sleep over it. You're left standing there with this weighted down backpack, these memories, and they're not even serving you anymore. And your subconscious, that brilliant, loyal, overprotective part of you, it's just whispering, hold on. It'll keep you safe. Just keep holding on to that hurt or hold on to that situation. Just keep holding. It's okay. It doesn't help. And you just keep yourself stuck. So the subconscious mind doesn't understand time the way the conscious mind does. I don't think the subconscious mind has elements of time. What happened 10 years ago might as well have happened yesterday morning. I've got clients who've was traumatized 3, 5, 6, 20 years ago, and it's as if it happened yesterday. There's no, that element of time. It's right here in the frontal cortex. It doesn't go away, and it just keeps replaying itself like it's brand new. It's like that hamster on the wheel that just doesn't want to pop off, and you're just having to relive it. Same emotion, same everything. It just keeps telling the story over and over again. And those same chemicals going on in your body, they just keep going. That same pain. It's like the mind's own rerun channel, and the subconscious just never expires. That's where forgiveness and hypnotherapy can come in and help you. Forgiveness is like emotional detoxing. It's unclogging the drain that resentment that's been sitting in. It's clearing the mental static so you can finally hear your own peace again. And hypnotherapy, that's the tool that lets us get under the conscious story, under the I know I should forgive, and into that emotional programming that's been just running the show all this time. Think about it like this. Every emotion you've ever had is stored somewhere in your subconscious, connected to a network of memories, sensations, and beliefs. It's your timeline. A smell, a song, a phrase that can trigger an old network to light up again. And suddenly you're back in the past, reacting as if it's happening right now. And these could be good things, these can be sad things, all of it, everything. It's not just for anything negative. Sometimes we want to relive the happy moments, and we do. And I've got one running around in my head on a constant basis from my late husband. The subconscious is loyal. It thinks it's protecting you by keeping those memories close. It's like an 8-year-old child rattling around in your head. Over time, that loyalty starts to feel like emotional imprisonment. Can I just let this go? Forgiveness, then, is the jailbreak. And hypnotherapy is the key that opens the lock from the inside. So when we work in hypnosis, we speak the language of the subconscious mind. I will work with that language. It's imagery, it's imagination, it's emotion, it's symbols, numbers. This is what the subconscious mind relates to. It's not logic and it's not willpower. It's imagination. It's our most powerful tool. Without imagination, we wouldn't have these. Somebody had to think this up. Somebody had to think up the way to make a name badge. Somebody had to think up how to do a computer. All of our lives are based on how we live in our world is based on imagination. In a session, you visualize. Using visualization, you see yourself setting down that heavy baggage you've carried. You're setting it down in your mind, and you're cutting the cord of that old energy that you've kept tethered to that painful story. And you begin to rewrite your inner experience of that memory. You don't erase it, you release it. And there's a difference. How will you remember it? You may not even care to remember it afterwards. And there's so many modalities that I can help you let that go with. There's something important about forgiveness that doesn't always mean reconciliation. We can forgive someone and still never invite them back into our life and be fine with it. And that's perfectly okay. Forgiveness is internal. It's about your peace of mind. Okay, I'm going to bring myself into this story, give you this example. So as a kid, I was in, I had the ugly stepmother, if you will, and she was very hands-on, not in a loving way, I guess we can put it. And there was a time I got to escape. Literally, I escaped. I grabbed and I left. I was 15 years old and I wasn't going to put up with it anymore. And so years later, I don't know, I'm going to say 15, 20 years later, I met up with her again. And she just never even acknowledged that anything had ever happened. But I had to come to a point where I had to, it's like I'm not going to sit here and just keep reliving those memories of her and ruin my life now, because I had children to raise and a family and a life to live. And it doesn't bother me that what had happened. I remember it, but I don't have any emotions surrounding it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. So I have peace of mind. You know what? And I also couldn't 100% blame her because of how she was raised. So she was just doing what she was taught, and no one ever taught her different. So also look at the other side. So you know what? It was, yeah, she was conscious about her decisions when she would beat us, but it just turned into, you know what? I felt sorry for her. You know what? I didn't have any reason to be angry anymore. Reconciliation is about rebuilding the trust with another person. She tried. I wasn't going to go there because it would have taken more than one sit-down dinner and a coffee, and she would have had to do a lot more changing. But we left on terms, good, decent terms or whatever. And I just, I didn't really talk to her after that and just let it go. Forgiveness is mandatory for your emotional health. Reconciliation is elective. Remember that. There was a client. They carried resentment towards a family member for decades. And every time that family member's name came up, you could see the rage just shifting in their bodies. The shoulders would become tense. The breath would become shortened. The jaw would clench. Under hypnosis, you can take and explore that emotion, not the event, but the emotion. And what they realize is profound. It helps you let it go. It's anger because of what was said, maybe not. The angry was because they never got an apology, an acknowledgement from the other person. Narcissism has been a big thing these days, and it's like a word that's just everyday life now, narcissism. And a narcissist is not going to change because there's something physically wrong with their brain structure, and they're not going to ever admit fault. So that's something where you just need to forgive that. You're never going to get anywhere with them, so learn how to work around them. And maybe, they're not going to go to therapy, but maybe some do. It would be nice if some did. People are just holding on to the hope that one day they would be acknowledged, that somebody will acknowledge their hurt, that the family member will acknowledge, or the person, or whoever, can acknowledge that hurt. When they understand that waiting for that apology is keeping you an emotional hostage, once you realize that, something can shift. Finally, you know what? I'm not going to let that energy, that person's not losing an ounce of sleep for whatever they did. I am. I'm getting nervous. I'm the one that's breaking out in hives, whatever. They're not. So why are you giving that energy out? You know what? Do something different. Change work. Episode 3, go back and look at it. I realize that you're drinking the poison of somebody else's circumstances, the situation. If I drink the poison, maybe they'll feel it, maybe they'll get hurt from me holding on to this grudge or this anger or this, I'm not going to forgive them. And just maybe if I do enough. Now, maybe you're not with them. One of my very first clients, she was angry with somebody for over 30 years, somebody she hadn't even seen in over 30 years. And yet she was so angry with this person, so angry and bitter. It took 4 sessions, maybe 5. And she came in one day and it was weird. It was like her whole countenance just changed. And she came in it was her final session, and she was just like, I feel fine. It was so cool, just the shift in 1 week to the next. And she's like, I don't want to give them my anger anymore, and I'm good. So I loved that she was able to break through that. There's a moment that, the moment that forgiveness begins is when you realize the energy you've been using to stay mad is the energy that you can use to stay free. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's surrendering. Not really surrendering, it's reclaiming, I guess is a better word. And you're reclaiming over your own emotional narrative. Now, talking about how hypnotherapy helps with this, in a typical session, I'm going to guide somebody into a deeply relaxed state, a space where that critical mind and the subconscious, the critical mind kind of takes a little nap, if you will. And I'm going to go into that subconscious mind where it kind of steps forward. And in that space, safely revisit those memories without reliving them. Having you observe, step out of them and look at yourself. You don't have any feelings when you're an observer. There's other techniques like we can reframe it into something else. But seeing the event from a higher perspective, a symbolic release, if you will. Working with the person, you visualize, and some people have a hard time visualizing. Can you visualize? Maybe you don't know if you can. So just close your eyes and can you imagine seeing a red square? Oh, if you can't, keep your eyes closed and count the windows in your house. You can count the windows in your house and then just with your eyes closed, count them. When you have that number, start to ask yourself, how did I get that? How did I know what that number is? Can you visualize your living room window? Can you visualize it a different color? If you can't, like a glimpse and then it goes away. And those are people, there's an actual word for it, and I don't remember what it is, and that's fine. You have a knowing. You know your living room window's there. You know that, you have windows in the other rooms in your house. There's a knowing. So it doesn't work the same as other people's imagination. You're not broken. You're just different. And maybe even it's better. Who knows? So let's go on. So, when we use what I call energetic editing imagery, imagine your mind as a document. And I need water, sorry. That's a document that's been heavily marked up with emotional red ink. Remember the teachers with their red pens? Hypnotherapy lets you delete what no longer serves you and then highlight the lessons you've learned instead. You're not rewriting history. You're changing how it lives in your nervous system. And once that emotional life is filed, that file that you have, I read the word backwards. Once that emotional file is closed, peace comes back online. You stop waking up with that low-grade hum of anger. You stop rehearsing imaginary conversations with people that'll never happen, nor will they ever show up in your life again. Your energy becomes yours again. Freedom. How do you start right now, right where you are? You don't have to be in hypnotherapy to begin forgiveness. You can start with awareness. When you feel the tension of old anger rising up, just take a breath in through the nose to cool the brain and exhale through the mouth. Instead of asking, how could they do this to me? Try asking, what part of me still needs to be heard? It starts, and just let that forgiveness inward. It's the gestalt, I think they call it. Imagining the chair, the empty chair, with the person, and you're in the other chair talking to them, and have that conversation. And then imagine yourself sitting in that chair, but a part of you floating up out of the chair, going over to that person and looking over their shoulder and seeing what's going on from their perspective. It'll give you a new perspective. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't, and that's you. It's totally on you. There's nothing wrong with that. But reclaim your peace. You release yourself from your old story and reclaim your peace for your future. As you relax, closing the eyes, taking those deep breaths, relaxing the shoulders, just relaxing the arms, just really bringing into mind the person, the situation, and just float above it. Just imagine floating above it. You're seeing yourself in it. You're not in it. And just imagine self-forgiveness counts. And you just say silently, I release you from my story, and I'm going to reclaim my peace. You don't have to feel completely in at that moment. You just have to mean it a little. The subconscious mind will handle the rest because the intention is the seed. Repetition is the water. And remember, forgiveness often comes in layers. It's not a one and done transaction. It's a process. And you can rehearse that positive process over and over again until it just literally takes over. You might forgive a little more deeply each day. You might be peeling back the layers of an onion until you reach the sweet center of self-compassion. Hypnotherapy helps accelerate that process by aligning your subconscious mind's intention with your aligning your conscious mind's intention with your subconscious's willingness to change. And sometimes the conscious mind says, I'm over it. But the subconscious mind's, no, we're not. That's homeostasis. That's comfort zone. It just likes to stay there because it doesn't like to change. Well, we want change because we want to get from here to there, but you got to change. You got to make some commitments and transformations. And sometimes those voices agree and sometimes they don't. Forgiveness, whenever forgiveness lands, you'll know, you'll feel it. The nervous system relaxes, the thoughts quiet down, the old stories lose their charge. It's real easy. I'm not a grudge holder, and it's real easy for me to let things go pretty quickly. I sometimes try to hold on to them, and I just can't. I just don't have that ability. But I know people that have been holding grudges for so long, and it's just, and and they want to let them go, and they just don't know how. And you know what? For those of you that are spiritual, God can take you through it. Can give you the peace that passes all understanding. You can't change the past. Changing the energy you bring to your present. That's what it's about. So even if you've been carrying something heavy for a while, a betrayal, a loss, even resentment towards yourself, maybe it's time to let hypnotherapy help you unpack that luggage one piece at a time until you can finally walk freely through your own life again. Forgiveness really is freedom. Hi, I'm Ilah, and this has been Subconsciously Speaking. It's just another day of self-improvement for you. Join me again next time. I'm going to do a little bit of a monologue about a little bit about my life. You know, it's something I created, and I'm going to share it here next week. Anyway, you take care, and we'll be in touch next time. Have fun. Be good.